Hello everyone, welcome to your Unit 1 of Block 1 MPC 003. In our today's unit and lesson, we will be discussing the definition and concept of personality as well as what leads to personality development. So let's step into the objectives for our today's lesson. So as you can see, our primary objectives are: what is personality, understanding how do we define it, what is the concept and terminology related to it, as well as what are the different factors in personality development. Okay, so let's begin with the meaning of personality. So when we talk about personality, personality has been referred to as or been understood in terms of social attractiveness oftentimes. So when we say a person has a good personality, they are considered to be one who impress other people and has ability to get well with others, right? However, if one considers personality through a scientific point of view, over here we say that personality is a concept which is relatively different than just being good with people or being able to attract others, right? So that is not the true concept of personality. In fact, psychologists consider any attempt to define personality in terms of the factors of social attractiveness is inadequate because of two reasons. One is that it limits the number of types and behaviors which can be considered important and worthy. Apart from that, such kind of notions also imply that people who have unique abilities, temperaments, and traits are devoid of having a personality. Okay, so try to understand what personality really is. So personality is the dynamic organization within an individual of the psychophysical systems that determine the unique adjustment to one's environment. So it is driven by a person's internal as well as external factors. So when we talk about personality, remember that the thoughts, feelings, and actions which are perceived as reflective of an individual's personality would often have three characteristics which we'll be discussing. But understand that psychologists have tried to explain the concept of personality in terms of individuality and consistency. So we often observe that people differ a great deal in the way they think, they feel, and they act. And hence, this factor becomes personality in itself. Okay, so whenever we talk about personality and what is personality, there have been several attempts to define it in different various contexts. Understand that when we talk about individuality and consistency, over here the focus is on that each one of us is different and the behaviors that we may perform will also be different. Okay, so when we talk about these notions and when we connect these notions, we understand that these notions often will come together and show in a person's personality. So over here, an individual's personality typically have three major characteristics, okay? So the first characteristic is their thoughts, feelings, and actions. These are considered to be behavioral components of identity and they make distinction between an individual. So what happens is these are the thoughts that I think, right? The feelings that I have, the actions that I do, they are all a part of my personality. Next is behavior. So behavior is viewed as a primary cause by internal rather than environmental factors. So in the context of personality, behavior is considered to be something which is of a primary cause or which has internal basis rather than environmental basis. Okay, then we have the behavior of the person seems to have organization and structure. What do we mean by organization and structure? That any behavior is not random. It's always organized. There is a structure to it. Okay, so behaviors of an individual often go and fit together in a meaningful way. And something that we need to keep in mind over here is that the nature of behavior is dynamic and there may be certain changes in the organization and structure of behavior over a period of time. Okay, so when we talk about personality, these are the three factors or characteristics that are there. Allport in 1961 as well as 37 has further defined personality as the dynamic organization, which we stated earlier, within the person of the psychophysical system that determine the unique adjustment to an environment. So this particular element or this definition by Allport suggests that there is an inner personality which all of us have that guides and directs our individual behavior. Okay, so Allport is one of the psychologists, Gordon Allport, who has done a lot of work in the terminology as well as meaning of personality, and he has analyzed about 50 definitions of personality, right? So after doing and analyzing all these definitions, he came up with his own. So when we understand the distinct between personality, it is essential that we do not confuse it with character and temperament, because character refers to the value judgments that we have. It is the moral values or ethical behavior, and temperament is the inborn biological basis or characteristics that an individual has. This could be adaptability or irritability. However, understand that character and temperament, even though they are different, both are an equally important element of personality. Okay, so understand that personality may be different in so many other ways, but at the end of the day, when we talk about personality, character and temperament are a part of it. All right. So let's move ahead into the next element, which is the personality development. So over the years, psychologists have tried to understand what leads to personality development and how does it happen. And this has been a great topic of interest even right now for psychologists, because psychologists have tried to identify these factors which either directly or indirectly influence the growth and development of personality. Okay, even though there are large number of factors which influence the development of personality, there are three main elements which have the major effect. Okay, this is our biological factor, psychological factors, and environmental factors. So we will be further understanding each of these factors in detail. So first we have biological factors. So when we talk about biological factors, these are all the determinants which have physical basis. So biological determinants are also called as physical determinants, which emphasize that the physique and body functioning are often responsible for personality development. Now there are some factors within it. First one is body build. What is body build? Body build is something how your body is built, right? Whether we are thin, whether we are not thin, or whether we have a lot of mass on us, right? So body build influences personality directly because it determines what an individual can and cannot do, as well as what the individual's reaction will be to all those whose body build are superior or inferior to other. Some of the known body builds that have been put forward in the field of psychology are ectomorph, endomorph, and mesomorph. So ectomorphs are persons who are often tall and thin in their body. So they are generally found to be superior to endomorphs who have a rounder and more softer body build, and superiority especially in speed and endurance. Similarly, mesomorphs are those who have strong and muscular body. They have, people who may go to the gym, right? And they have been found to be superior to both ectomorphs and endomorphs in activities such as speed and endurance as well as agility. So this has been reported that body build of an individual affects the person's self-concept, which is an important element of personality. Remember that personality as a whole is not a single entity. However, it is comprised of several other factors. Now, this self-concept can be favorable or unfavorable. Let's take for instance, if an individual's body build allows them to do things that are socially desirable, prestigious, and better than others, then it would contribute to a positive self-concept rather than a negative one. However, if an individual is limited by these things, they would have a negative self-concept, and it would again lead to a more negative idea of self. Okay, hope that makes it clear. Let's move ahead to the next concept, which is physical attractiveness. When we talk about physical attractiveness, this is another component which affects the development of personality, because an attractive person of any age is often more appealing than a person who is unattractive. When we talk about this in psychological term, Brislin and Lewis in 1968 have commented that it is very much rewarding to be with someone who is physically attractive, because it has been found that people tend to be more tolerant in their attitudes and judgments of an attractive person. However, this is the more reason why a pretty child is less likely to be punished or criticized for troublesome behavior than a simple looking homely child. Similarly, in business circle, an attractive worker may be less efficient and less conscientious than an unattractive worker, yet the attractive worker is most likely to get a promotion rather than the unattractive one. Okay, next we come to the homeostasis factor. When we talk about homeostasis, it is another important determinant of personality, and this refers to the maintenance of a stable internal environment. And this talks about, having normal temperature, normal level of blood sugar, normal level of blood pressure, all these things. Any disturbance in homeostasis can directly affect personality, or it can also lead to certain indirect effect, because when the level of homeostasis is disturbed, behaviors such as irritability, indigestion, insomnia, and other uncomfortable states often result, which can lead to a person being or presenting themselves as someone who's constantly on edge or someone who's constantly feeling anxious. Okay. Next, we have physical deficits. When we talk about physical defects, these are another determiners over here in terms of personality. The first scientific study showing the impact of any physical defect upon personality came from Alfred Adler's theory of organ inferiority. Today, there have been several studies which have been conducted, and obesity is one of the most popular physical defect, because obesity proves to be a handicap in social relationship, because the obese person is unable to keep up with their contemporaries. More so, it affects the individual's personality indirectly. Remember that a lot of this is health related, and there are still studies which are being done to finalize that yes, this is a common determiner. When we talk about health condition, this speaks of both physical health condition as well as mental health condition. How is a person doing? Because this affects an individual's personality development at all ages and in both sexes. Good health is considered as a personality asset, and poor health is a liability. More so, it has been found that person having illness such as diabetes experience tension and anxiety, which can cause frustration in dealing with the demands of the social environment. And this frustration can become aggression, which can turn into a part of your personality. So see how physical factors can also influence your personality to one point. Try to take a reflection and understand what are some of your physical attributes that have contributed to your personality development in any way. Okay, let's move ahead. That'll be all for our today's session. In the next lesson, we will be discussing the psychological and environmental factors of personality development. That'll be all for today, everyone. Hope you had a fun lesson and got lots to learn. Make sure you keep revising, keep reading. Do go through your SLM because everything is in there. Do practice the MCQ questions as well as keep reading research papers. Try to explore about theories, because personality is one of the most beautiful concepts in the field of psychology. Okay, that'll be all for today. Take care and happy learning, everyone.